way that the left is going about trying to demonize the president, essentially justify and ignore the violence on their side, and then reinforce that with a complete the imagery of death being acceptable. Kathy Griffith using the beheaded image of the president. All these things are the same way ISIS goes about radicalizing and recruiting people to become terrorists.
Revolution is in the minds of the globalist minions, promised riches and power like they were in Russia under communism, or Cuba, or China, or North Korea, or Venezuela, or all the other nightmares like the Congo. Or once wealthy Western European countries that fell to communism, and Eastern European. But now we fall to Islam, allied with the globalist scourge. Revolution is in their hearts. The hateful children of Satan begin to march. All right, as soon as we get Colonel Shaffer on, let me know. Thanks. Okay. First off, ladies and gentlemen, we have the 4th of July summer mega specials now live at InfoWarsStore.com for a limited time plus free shipping. From Facebook censorship to attacks on our funding sources, InfoWars is under unprecedented globalist siege. And thanks to your support, we're able to continue on despite all of that and hopefully expand in their faces. We want to win. Help support InfoWars and our mission to preserve free speech and Western values and basic freedom. For a limited time on 4th of July, get mega specials at InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping store-wide, Brain Force Plus, an amazing documented nootropic, 30% off with 20% more in each bottle. Super Male Vitality, now back in stock, just known concentrated herbs into an oil form that are known to boost your libido, stamina, energy. Just try it for yourself. Survival Shield X2, the good halogen. Learn about the lack of iodine, the iodine conspiracy, what it does to IQs, you name it. Z-Shield, the heavy metal detoxer, our newest product. Amazing. Folks love it. InfoWars Select Storable Foods. When I named it Select, meaning quality, but it's not Select. It's the entire line of My Patriot. They just only let me do 10% off every once in a while because they already have low prices. But by private labeling, I get around it in the contract, 30 to 40% off, but I can only do it 3 times a year. This is one of those times. Emmerich Essentials Outdoor Pack of natural, healthy, non-nano zinc, oxide, sunscreen, and healthy organic bug spray. Those two together, 40% off, unprecedented. Living Defense Parasite Cleanse, that's 20% off even though it's about to sell out. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. And we are the model of the future, independent media funding itself with high-quality products you sell because they got rid of our Google advertising, $5 million a year that it was set to be. It was $3.5 million last year. They hit a bunch of our sponsors. They death threat people. They just do it all. And I saw this years ago. I said, we're going to go to direct sales to folks. So now they try to hack attack the websites and shut us down. It's just we're never going to give up. Now, the news we're about to cover is some of the most powerful, important information I've ever covered. Elite publications like the Financial Times of London, the New Yorker magazine, most importantly, Atlantic Monthly, have all come out with articles that I'm going to be showing you on screen while our guest is on, saying we need to overthrow President Trump, we need to have new elections under Homeland Security, that's federalized things, and take all the Republicans that were elected in 2016 and remove them. Now remember, Obama's last action was to sign an executive order federalizing elections. All 50 attorney generals, including Democrats, wrote letters saying this violates the Federalist Clause, separation of the states, the federal government. Trump is battling to try to remove all this bureaucracy, but it's still there. There's a mutiny going on. And the media has pointed out in the Washington Post that Colonel Shaffer says the same things. I say the same things. Sean Hannity says the same things. Well, I know nobody talks to the president outside the White House like Sean Hannity. They talk every day. I'm going to leave it at that. But the president was already aware of this. He's shocked by how pliable the media is and the deep state to actually try to block a recovery and do this, but they intend it. So I wanted to play a clip briefly of Sean Hannity Tuesday talking about this, and then a month ago on Lou Dobbs' Business, Colonel Shaffer breaking it down. But none of us are plagiarizing each other. We're all educated. We're all informed. We're reading what the Democrats are saying. And we're historically looking at it, they're calling for death, violence. This is insane. So I want to ask Colonel Shaffer, former head of the bin Laden unit, patriot, with a lot of big connections, helped expose Benghazi, you name it, works with the London Center for Foreign Policy Research, Fox contributor, where we are currently and how serious the situation is. But first, here's a clip of Sean Hannity Tuesday. They're calling for him to be fired right now at the Washington Post.
Also tonight, a soft coup is underway right here in the United States of America in an attempt to overturn November's election results and forcibly remove a duly elected president from office. Sinister forces quickly aligning in what is becoming now, in my mind, a clear and present danger. That is tonight's very important opening monologue.
All right, boom. Then a 15-minute breakdown of them saying, kill the president, the deep state, Schumer bragging, the intelligence community has 7 ways to Sunday to take you down. Then they come out in the Washington Post article and say Fox News' Sean Hannity is encroaching on Alex Jones' territory because he quotes the same statements they've made about the plan to overthrow him. So they want to get this plan going, but then they want to deny it, even though it's in the news when we oppose it. That is what they call black propaganda. They are using serious, unprecedented disinfo. Colonel Shaffer, you're more of an expert on this than even I am. I know that you've worked in some of the most classified areas there are and really head up a lot of things that will never see the light of day for this country. Am I overestimating how serious this is?
No, Alex, thank you for having me on. And no, you're laying it out completely correctly. You're essentially outlining the situation based on their own verbiage. And of course, then when they get caught in the open daylight, they then try to say, no, we never said that. It's all about you. Same way the deep state goes about saying the deep state doesn't exist. And as you pointed out, and this is the first time you and I have spoken since what? I don't know how many months ago. Sean Hannity and I haven't spoken. This is all original work by all of us, simply observing what we see and factually analyzing and putting it back out. And my analysis is just a bit different than yours and Sean's. Mine is coming from the perspective of how I've looked at and studied terror organizations and how they go about radicalizing individuals. And my posit on this, Alex, and I've gotten some pushback and people don't like what I say, but the fact is this: the way that the left is going about trying to demonize the president, essentially justify and ignore the violence on their side, and then reinforce that with a complete, the imagery of death being acceptable, Kathy Griffith using the beheaded image of the president. All these things are the same way ISIS goes about radicalizing and recruiting people to become terrorists. And that is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a direct correlation, a direct pathology that is the same between ISIS going about isolating individuals, pushing them forward in their cause, reinforcing bad judgment, getting them to accept violence, becoming numb to anything else except their way of thinking. And that's what I'm seeing here. And that's what I'm most frightened about, is that you have at least some percentage, Alex, who are going to be willing to go out and do and carry through what the left is pushing for here is a use of violence as a political extension of their methodology, of their ideology, and that's what we all have to be very concerned about. And yes, the republic is in danger by the fact that you have a group of individuals who are willing to subsume and overwhelm any legitimate element of government trying to protect the American people for purposes of trying to allow for this chaos to happen.
Well, when you say you're getting pushback, it's because you're over the target. The Democrats
always
are saying kill the president, and every major newspaper I've seen has written op-eds. I see it in movies. I see it in plays. I see it in dramas. Right. Kathy Griffin, you mentioned. Snoop Dogg, Bow Wow says kidnap his wife, sex rape her, sex slave her. The Islamicist capitulation by the feminists, putting on hijabs. I mean, it is like mass Stockholm syndrome. And then they're everywhere saying we're going to get violent. I mean, just on Infowars.com, the commenters coming after us on the streets. It's just as you said, as ISIS or Al-Qaeda puts out this message, kind of like fire ants put out pheromones and all sting you at once. They say, go, kill, it's acceptable, do it. You know, the guy that tried to kill Trump in Nevada, grabbing the cop's gun. He's a hero, the BBC says. Wolf Blitzer has a guest on, the day that Congressman Scalise and the cops and everybody get shot a few weeks ago. And he says this man was not evil. He was tired of politics. And Wolf Blitzer nods his head. I mean, if somebody goes and shoots Blitzer and then we say, oh, it's just politics, I hope that doesn't happen. And the weirdest thing is it's not soldiers or tough guys who've had an experience doing this, who then are always wanting to be restrained, as conservatives are. They're taking you and others' kindness and restraint as weakness, and I see like armies of beta males, communists with their fingers on their triggers, coming to Trump rallies and aiming guns at people, and the cops let them do it. I mean, I'm seeing a like death wish crazed suicide gene, just like we see in the Islamicists. And you're absolutely right. In fact, I've thought of it, but never said it. They are literally becoming Islamified.
Right. And that's the danger, Alex, is that they have lost a connection with the democracy, which we hold true. And you and I have spoken about this a dozen times. The fact is this: the government's job is to preserve and protect the American people and serve the common good. Alex, if the government doesn't get together, if Mr. Trump can't clear out the Obama folks, the pro-Trump, the pro-Clinton folks, you're going to see a complete breakdown in society. And inevitably, I think, as you just stated, the left tends to take our kindness and consideration as weakness, and that is a dangerous mistake for them to make, because people are going to get upset. And as you saw in England last week, you saw a British, and I'm not saying we should go violent. I'm saying the inevitable result, if the government does not provide for the common defense, common welfare, you're going to see individuals pick up and take justice into their own hands. And that's why you saw that British individual, that British citizen, go attack the individuals from that mosque coming out, because he is fed up with the fact that his own government has allowed for large networks of terrorists to establish themselves in their own country. So this is what we're saying here. We're seeing, and I'll be blunt, large networks of terrorists under the banner of Antifa, under the justification of this, I would say, sedition put forward by the Democrat Party, encouraging their side to rise up and be violent, and eventually people are going to become very perturbed by it. There's going to be good members of law enforcement who say enough's enough, and there's going to have to be a large effort to go after them. And dare I say, you're going to have to start locking people up for the very act of sedition that I've seen come from the former the Department of Loretta Lynch. I think has been involved in sedition by her comments. You've seen other members of the former President Obama's staff encouraging violence. And I'm sorry, Alex, that's sedition. The moment you cross the line, you cannot accept legitimate outcomes of a political election and then start fighting the government and the governance, then you become essentially an enemy of the state. And in this case, they're actually encouraging acts of terror. And as you point out, the mainstream media was very accepting of Congressman Scalise being attacked. And instead of actually trying to say enough's enough, we've gone too far, they've continued to push forward with the idea that violence is okay.
Did you see the video of President Trump speaking to a crowd, and as soon as he says let's have a moment of silence for Scalise and the cops that got shot and others, they start booing and hissing and screaming, and I saw top Democratic strategists on Fox News defending #Trump hunt Republicans. I mean, right. I don't want to have this be violent. We just won election-wise. We just saw Karen Handel win. We've just won 4 upset special elections, despite the biggest Democratic spending ever. We're winning the old-fashioned American way with ideas. I don't want a war. I don't need some, coming-of-age deal to kill a bunch of liberals. I just can't. But I also feel like I'm in dereliction as a citizen of my duty, not saying we have to start getting ready for insurrection and civil war because they're really pushing it.
Literally, that's what they're pushing. I mean, exactly. And again, Alex, we cannot be dissuaded by them saying, oh, you're misinterpreting things. No, there's no way to misinterpret the idea that beheading a president and enslaving his family is somehow okay. Somehow that's just rhetoric, because a certain percentage, Alex, as you know, of individuals on their side will take it seriously. They will begin to plan actions, and they will.
It's just like ISIS, is what you said earlier. They put out the message to billions of people. They know people are going to act. It's like advertising. If you put advertising out to billions of people saying, come eat our hamburgers, they're going to come. Well, if you put out advertising to billions saying, kill Republicans, kill Trump, kill Alex Jones, kill, it's going to happen.
Right. And that's exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying. And even some on the left have admitted that there's issues. I've met with members of Congress on the Democrat side who recognize how dangerous this is. And look, I don't think Dennis Kucinich should mind me talking about a conversation he and I had recently. Dennis is a conservative liberal, not a progressive, a liberal, has recognized, Alex, and there's a difference. The liberals, the traditional liberals, recognize that the idea of free speech, of free dialogue, is important to the sustainment of any democracy. However, when you cross the line, when you start calling for violence and killing the other side, you're then going to destroy the very fabric of the ability to have those discussions. And that's where now we are literally in the danger zone, and something has to be done. And Vice News, believe it or not, was one of the first liberal side elements to say,
I saw it.
The liberal side is actually going too far, and this is where we've got to look for those on the liberal side, not progressive side, liberal side, who recognize the damage being done to the very fabric of.
Well, exactly. Here's an example. I was in a restaurant about a month and a half ago. We were going to a shooting range. I was sitting there with former military guys, you name it, and we all got concealed carry. And this guy follows us out. He shows us his gun, and he says, I ought to get you. And I didn't even know what to say to the guy, except I started getting ready. It was like an old Western. I started getting ready, and then all of a sudden he figured it out and went back in the restaurant. But I just don't know what their I mean, I've not done anything to these people. All I want is a secure, prosperous nation with tax cuts and take care of our veterans and secure our borders. I mean, I don't get why they hate America so much that they are willing to, like, literally attack President Trump's daughter on airplanes, you name it.
Yeah. Alex, it's because of the culture. I mean, this is something I actually said on Lou Dobbs a few nights ago, and I got some pushback. Look, the millennial generation, with a few exceptions, has been completely brainwashed into believing that somehow America is the font of all evil, that everything we've done has resulted in bad things happening, and they have become the believers in this very, very incorrect but very corrosive idea.
Cancerous.
Somehow, yes, it's a cancer, and they are infected. Many are not willing to do it. My son is a conservative. He's a millennial, and he's constantly debating with his peers over what is factual, and they always answer his factual debate with emotion. So you have
take Evergreen. Take Evergreen. You have a liberal professor, Bert Weinstein, who says you can't have a weekend where whites are banned. Then they file a complaint on him, and the school tells him 50-plus faculty, 50 filed it. They said, you're not allowed to face your accuser, and challenging allegations of racism is racism. It is Kafkaesque 1984.
Right. And this is where we have to, again, clarify our message, clarify what you just said, Alex. We want prosperity for all Americans, not just conservatives, not just our side, everyone. And the idea here is to live by the rule of law and support the Constitution. And somehow that has all become a radical idea to those on the left. And again, the progressives on the left, primarily, I think the liberals on the left, the traditional liberals, understand what's going on, and but there are very few. They're outnumbered. The old Scoop Jackson Democrats, Blue Dog Democrats, they're being essentially.
Steve Bannon is an old-fashioned Democrat.
Right. And so what we see here is this complete, I would say, like you said, this is a move to make the United States, the U.S., this is to make us a Soviet Union. That's what's going on.
And let's be clear. Let me ask you this question. Again, former Intel guy running black ops against Al-Qaeda, you name it, able to the whole 9 yards, Colonel Shaffer, Tony-Shaffer.com, LondonCenter.org, read his books. Amazing guy. It's so hard to get him on. Looking at this, they were doing their incremental socialist takeover, and where all these leftists feel like they're part of the power structure, even though they're useful idiots and aren't. They see conservatism, libertarianism, free market renaissance awakening globally. They get scared. Their big billionaire funders like Soros realize it. He triples the funding. They come out of their beehives like it's the end of the world for them. And that's why they're launching their next 10-year operation in just a year, not out of strength, but out of desperation.
Right. And to your point, this is where Antifa is getting its money. These kids who are Antifa, think about this, Alex, they are all baristas at Starbucks for the most part. They don't have the money to take off and go away from work and go protest. You now have a professional protest class that's been created by Soros funded. And again, this is sedition. This is sedition. This is pushing us towards a communist society.
So why is Soros still walking around? Why is he not arrested?
Well, there's a number of people I think need to be in front of grand juries: Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and Soros. I think we've got to figure out how to push the legitimate elements of our government to become constitutionally appropriate and focused again. And I think that requires Mr. Trump to fire more people at the Justice Department, to get rid of those who don't understand that the need is to bring back real freedom.
I agree, and I think Trump should bring people in like you that are bulldogs. And I mean, this is war. Here's the deal. I don't need to feel big going after them. I don't want to have some big roundup of liberals. I don't want to do that. They're the ones trying to push us into a communist, fascist, crazy, kill everybody amalgamation. I'm being forced to really think about how we respond to them, because clearly they're getting ready to launch their attacks. Soros has spent $1 billion just on the stuff coming up in July, and they literally are saying, kill cops. I mean, I can't believe that law enforcement even puts up with this.
No, I've talked to law enforcement. As a matter of fact, I work with several folks in law enforcement here in Virginia, and the answer is this: law enforcement does feel very much targeted. All members, black and white. This is not a racial thing. I've talked to black members of the Philadelphia Police Force undercover units have told me flat out, Black Lives Matter is a fascist organization designed to undermine all law and order, no matter if it's black or white. So I think this is the thing: we have to continue to paint them, Alex, for what they are. They are fascists. They're seeking some level of control of our government, and if they can't control it, they want to disrupt it or destroy it. And this is where we have to be very clear in trying to make it very clear to them. It's like, this is not acceptable. And then, again, I hope Mr. Trump and the government can get its act together to go after the leadership. Because, again, like I said, Antifa cannot exist without a level of funding from an outside source. That outside source we know is Soros. I've seen the intel on this. These groups are trying to organize all across the nation, and they're going to lead with violence, and that is simply not acceptable.
Bottom line, you saw Loretta Lynch saying violence is necessary. You mentioned that. She said that a year ago.
Right.
She had strong cities that said the UN should run our police departments. That was mainstream news. You can't make this up. It's clear. Right. They think we're so dumb that if they kill a bunch of cops and kill conservatives, libertarians, we're going to roll over. They are so stupid. I don't know. They think bring in Islam as their muscle. I mean, it's almost like someone's setting them up. I know they're not, but Soros needs to know this isn't the Middle East or some place that's historically divided like Ukraine. I'm not trying to be overconfident here because I'm worried about the aftermath here, but I don't see this going well for them.
Let me say this is going to upset some folks in your audience. Alex, why do you think they are so open to radical Islam? The reason is because they like that system. They like the system of control radical Islam brings. So when you see those on the left apparently by all, acting irrationally, ignoring the threat, the reason they're ignoring it, Alex, is because they like the model. They like the way radical Islam goes about subjugating individuals and putting power in the hands of
bullies.
That's why they like Sharia. That's what they're aiming for, and that's why you see them allowing it to happen.
Birds of a feather fly together. They're bullies. So.
Right.
President Trump listens to you, obviously, on Fox. He listens to us some. What is your message to President Trump? What other key points should we relay to folks? Because I want the listeners to know, this isn't hype. I mean, this country is in a major crisis. They know the American system will outperform collectivism. That's why they want to kill the American system. We were inches away from societal collapse. Trump and the American people came in during the breach, but we've only got a beachhead right now. I liken it to D-Day. We're only on the beach.
Well, that's it. You need to get off the shore. Get off the shore. We die on the shore. It's like they said during D-Day. You got to get back into the hedgerows. You got to carry on the fight to those who are attempting to undermine the successful effort. And the two things your audience needs to take away. First off, look, I think Mr. Trump is on the right track. I think he's made a lot of good progress. He will continue to make progress. But secondly, I would encourage him to be bold or bolder than he is. You're not going to solve the problem by being nice, Alex. As much as I think President Trump tried to be somewhat hands across the water by not prosecuting Ms. Clinton, I think he needs to rethink that. I think he needs to go after them. And to quote a good friend of mine, if you got your boot on their throat, you don't stop them, they're going to come back and they're going to burn your house down. And frankly, as we've seen, blood has been flowing. A congressman was nearly assassinated. The left continues to push for violence. That, Alex, is not acceptable in anybody's book that I know is a rational human being who loves this country, and therefore anybody, to include liberals who recognize the danger of the progressives. We all need to come together behind the scenes. It may be strange bedfellows, but do everything we can to support the president from clearing out this very clear and present danger to the sustainment and enhancement of our republic as we know it.
It's a total clear and present danger, and the intimidation, the insanity, it's a Pandora's box. Everybody's got to come together for prosperity, stability, and it's total insanity to go down this road any further. Tony, I really appreciate you coming on, LondonCenter.org.
Thank you. Thanks for all the work you're doing. I appreciate being on, and I hope to come back soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, please come back anytime you want. I know you're a busy guy. You know, you're working all the time briefing Congress and other folks behind the scenes. You're really a superhero for America. I know you don't want the credit, but you're one of the guys out there that so many times I connect the dots is one of the key people making sure this country gets to the next level. So I know that everybody wants to thank you. And please come back on soon. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you. Just want to do my share. Thanks.
You bet. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. The country is on the edge of an explosive civil war. We're desperately trying to stop it. Your actions now, peacefully, are critical. 4th hour straight ahead. Stay with us.
Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine. If you're interested in healthy thyroid, if you're interested in well-being, if you're interested in having a higher IQ, which this has been linked to, get your powerful Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com.